Doesn't get much more beautiful than that, does it? Eastern Sierra Investing Talk Part 2. Okay, so sorry if it's a little bumpy, guys, but I got my arm resting on the mid container compartment of my car. I just wanted to show you these views. My God. So, part 2. Let's say you're getting a little bit older. You're in your 30s. You can still be heavy in stocks. Nothing wrong with that. At this time, though, you might want to consider going off into like some bonds as well. Or even taking some of that and thinking about real estate. Invest in some real estate in your 30s. Now, ideally, that would mean investing in maybe your own house, because all the way down the road, like about 20 years from then, I can't even talk. I'm sorry. I'm coming into a 30-mile-an-hour zone. And on the 395, it's notorious for CHP, pulling you over in a speed trap. So let me go down a little bit further. Okay. There we go. So we are pulling into beautiful Lone Pine right now. Look at the scenery. You can't beat this scenery. It's unbelievable. Anyway, if you're in your 30s, invest in some real estate. If it's your own house, great. If not, try a REIT, which is a real estate investment fund. When you're in your 30s, again, there's a lot of time for you on your hands. It's not like you have to be totally conservative in your investing. Do a little fun stuff. Do some alternative investing. Invest in gold if you want to. Invest in, if something like crypto catches your eye, do that. It could be fun. But if you really want to get into real estate, do what I did. When I was in my mid-30s, my very first house I bought was a duplex. So I rented out half of it and I lived in the other half of it. And luckily for me, I bought it at a time that real estate prices were just, when I got it for a good amount. But in the 2 years that I held on to that, real estate in Los Angeles just went crazy. It went through the roof. But in the meantime, I was renting out half of my duplex to a college student who was going to Occidental College at the time. This paid for almost all of my mortgage. Almost all of it. Real estate investing can be really good. Now, looking back on it, what I should have done, and I couldn't quite swing it at the time, is I should have held on to that property. Held on to it for years and years, because the value in Los Angeles just kept going up and up and up. But what I did is I took the profits from that, I put it in another house that I lived in a much better area. And I really can't complain, because once that house, I held on to that house for 10 years. And LA real estate, the magic of LA real estate, it still made it good for me. But if I had held on to that duplex, man, I'd be in a much better place than I am now. So anyway, in your 30s, invest in stocks. Hopefully at this time, the percentage of the income you're putting into your, say, 401k or outside investing has gone up, because you're making more money now, right? Don't just take that money and spend it on stuff. Invest in real estate, invest in stocks, invest in bonds a little bit at this time, because you are getting a little bit older, right? So you want to take maybe a tiny bit of that risk out, because if anything does happen to your stocks while you're in your 30s, you still have a lot of time there, a lot of time to recover, but not nearly as much as if you're in your 20s. Okay? So yeah, stocks, bonds, especially real estate at this point would be huge. Another thing you could think about is starting something on the side, something entrepreneurial. If you're in a job that you really just, it's just paying the bills and that's about it, start something entrepreneurial. You got so much time in your hands, right? When you're in your 30s, a lot of you might not be married by then. Some of you might have kids, and some might be married and have a lot of responsibility, but a lot of you might not. But even if you are married with kids, try something entrepreneurial at this time. You never know how it'll pan out in the end. I mean, look at just all the people that have started something that were a hobby to them, that were fun to them. And then a couple years down the road, boom, that thing just took off, right? I know one person, in fact, who started a blog. They started a blog on their spare time, and it was about investing. A couple years down the road, that blog started making them some money. Not much, but a little bit. A couple more years down the road, by word of mouth and everything, it was making them a full-time living. A couple more years down the road, they started getting offers from people to buy the blog from them. And eventually, they sold the blog high six figures. This is something he started on his spare time. Just writing about stuff he loved. In his case, it was financial stuff. You can do that. Anyone can do that. Another thing is with me and my writing. I did that on the side. Nothing's taken off yet. Fingers crossed. But you never know down the road. Just put a little bit of time in, especially in your 30s. You're still young. Okay? You got a lot of time. But as far as your overall investing strategy in your 30s, I wouldn't be quite as risky as I would in my 20s. I might say 80% stocks. Let's say, 10% real estate, 10% bonds. Why not give it a shot? You never know what can happen. Never know. Especially in the housing market. Housing market could take off like it did in Los Angeles when I bought my first duplex. And a duplex or rental properties are a really good way to go, because if they don't cover all of your mortgage, they can sure cover part of it. Any little bit helps, right? So who knows, man? A couple of 5-10 years down the road, you might be able to take one rental property, get another rental property, get another rental property, and you're a mogul. Woo! Who knew? Little old me. So that's where I think you should be in your 30s, guys. Still be heavily invested. Whoa, here comes a CHP looking for guys like me. Sorry, I had to put that camera down a little bit. Anyway, yeah, still heavy in stocks. A little bit less maybe than when you're in your 20s, but you've still got a lot of time to recover if not. So go for it, guys. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the scenery as much as I am. Eastern Sierra doesn't get better than this. All right, that's it for now. I'll check back in a while. Remember, we got this.